And welcome everybody, another edition here of the SDR In-Depth. I am Randy Cauthron, Managing Editor of the Spencer Daily Reporter. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Today we are joined by Iowa State Senator Randy Feenstra, who's looking for a pay upgrade and a job upgrade a little bit. He is in the hunt as the Republican nominee for the U.S. District 4 of Iowa congressional seat. And first of all, congratulations on winning a very hotly contested primary and putting yourself in that position, and now, of course, facing Democratic candidate J.D. Schulten in the upcoming November election.
Thank you so much for being here, Randy.
You bet.
I really enjoy being with you, and we have a lot of past.
We do have history. We've known each other for probably well over 20 years.
Exactly. You know the family and stuff like that, so it's just great to be with you.
So I appreciate that. And hey, I want to give you an opportunity to take a couple minutes and talk to our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you.
Yeah, so I grew up in Hull, Iowa, in the northwest corner there, and learned at an early age. My parents were both teachers. One taught in the public school, one taught in the private school, and they taught me how to work. They taught me about capitalism. At 9 years of age, I started throwing papers, and then at 14, waking up each morning, baking bread and baking donuts at 3 in the morning. Went on to Dordt and then Iowa State University, where I got my master's, and came back and worked at the local candy company, making Black Forest gummy bears. And through that, I got into government, became city administrator of our community, and then county treasurer. And now I spent the last 12 years in the Iowa legislature and the Iowa Senate. And it's there that just delivered results for the Senate and for the Iowa legislature and for the Iowa and for Iowa itself. And that's what got me involved. It got me involved in saying, hey, you can make a difference. And I wanted to make a difference for this great state and now for our nation.
Obviously, you're going to have a lot of support up here in the very northwest corner of the state. They're familiar with you. They know you from your time in the Senate as well as being a hometown boy. But there are a little more broader and diverse voter base out there in the Sioux Cities, Fort Dodge, Ames, some of your other big areas within this very large district. How do you speak to those folks who may not know you or are a little more liberal in their voting case?
So it's been great. We've been traveling all 39 counties and stopping in on Main Street, doing Main Street walks, which we just did today in Spencer with Representative Megan Jones, talking to the local businesses and seeing what concerns they have that we can bring to the federal level. And then also talking to our ag producers in the 4th District. We're either number 1 or 2 in the nation when it comes to agricultural products like corn and soybeans and cattle and hogs and dairy. And it's understanding what makes them tick. And if our agriculture is successful, the 4th District is successful. That means Main Streets are successful, hospitals and education is successful. So it's just great to listen and then take their thoughts and ideas and then bring them to Congress and deliver results for them. So there's a very diverse, from manufacturing to education to agriculture. There's a lot of diverse things that are happening in this 4th District. But the bottom line is this: we are the breadbasket to the world, and we need a voice, an effective voice on the Agricultural Committee, and that's what I want to be on.
So representing Northwest Iowa, which is obviously your job, or the western side of the state now if you're going to take on this role, what do you take to Washington as your top 3 priorities?
Number 1, just because we are the number 1 or number 2 agricultural district in the country and the breadbasket of the world, I need to be on the Ag Committee. In 2022, we have the next Farm Bill, and we need an effective voice on that Farm Bill to make a difference for each of our producers. That is so important. And then the other big thing, what we did in the Iowa legislature is we balanced the budget. Every year we balance the budget. And today we have about $1 billion in surplus in our rainy day funds. Quite different than our federal government, where we have $26.8 trillion of debt. And it's fearful of where this is going to go with all our unfunded liabilities. So we have to get to a balanced budget, just like we did in the state of Iowa. We have to do that in the federal government. So that's something. And then also, it's so important to me, growing up in my faith, that we protect life, that everyone's here for a purpose and a reason. And I'm a big proponent of protecting life and protecting the unborn.
How does your Northwest Iowa roots prepare you to deal with legislation that impacts the world on a global scale?
So from what I've done, being head of sales of a large candy company, importing product from all over the world, understanding trade and how tariffs work in those locations, working in the insurance and finance arena, understanding how debt affects us. And then also being a teacher now for the last 2 years of business and economics at Dover University. These are very key components to start crafting policy for agriculture, for manufacturing, for the family farm, for families in general. And I think I have the background for what it takes to be a strong, effective, proven person that will deliver results for people of the 4th District.
I think in Iowa, we're pretty happy with our education system in the state. I think for the most part, we're pretty happy here. But there are a lot of people who would say nationally, our education system is broken, especially when you talk about inner city, some of the struggles they have there. As we move towards trying to unite and work with our diversity, what is an educational solution for some of these folks who, and you've got a unique insight to this, who are struggling to get the standards met that we need to have met?
Right, and it is standards. You know, I think every state we have to meet certain standards. We take tests to understand where each state stands. The great thing about our 50 states is that we're all incubators for education, and we can each look at what works and what doesn't. Why is one state successful and why is not another? And where that comes from is competition. So once you start creating competition within the educational system, all of a sudden it raises all boats. And I'm a strong believer of that, from state to state and even from different school districts, of how can we make sure that our schools are effective and efficient, and making sure, bottom line, is our kids are learning and learning at a higher level than the rest of other states. It is competition, and our kids are competing around the world when it comes for jobs, whether it be in math or science or engineering, and so they have to be prepared for that. And for me, it's all about competing and making sure that we're toward the top.
So how do we uplift some of those lower schools that aren't getting what they need? How do we facilitate that so that we equal that educational playing field?
Absolutely. It's all about goals, objectives, and making sure you have outcomes. All right. You have to hold schools accountable of saying, all right, this is where the kids are. This is the baseline. You can see this over each class and each year and 2 years, 3, 5 years, whatever it might be. And you say, all right, we've got to figure out a way to bring these kids to the next level. What does that mean? Does that mean better curriculum? Does that mean better ways of teaching? And that means you're also holding teachers accountable of saying, all right, we have to teach in a way that these kids are learning. And these schools that are struggling, it's all about figuring out why are they struggling, how can we help them, how can the teachers be more effective, how can the kids be collaborative, not only with their parents, but also with the teacher and with the school district to succeed.
Okay, so right now in Washington, I think, well, in a lot of areas, not Washington, but we see it so much nationally, the clashing of the opposing views. You're a very strong, outspoken conservative. You make no qualms about that. How do you go to Washington and find common ground with what we term as the radical left or the left or whatever word you want to use, so we can actually get something done for the people? Because right now, things aren't getting done because nobody wants the other side to get any credit, even if it is a good idea on the other side.
Right, and that's shameful. I don't care what side you're on. We've got to do what's best for Iowa. We've got to do what's best for our nation. You pull off your hat and say, what can we get done collaboratively? I look at agriculture being one of those areas that there's really a lot of bipartisan work. And that's where it starts, of figuring out how can we help the agricultural community. I look at ethanol and biodiesel and the RFS. You think about, everybody wants clean energy. I think both sides would agree, we want clean energy. And here in the 4th District, we have these little batteries called corn and soybeans. And in essence, they're batteries because they're storing energy. And then that energy is pushed out of it into ethanol and biodiesel. And we can all agree, all right, this is how clean energy operates. Let's make sure that we have X amount of RFS gallons and increase that. And it comes and it helps the agriculture community. The more we have, that helps the commodity prices. It makes us more effective, and the byproducts of distillers grain and all this stuff comes from it. And I think those are things that we can collaborate around and work together with.
Right now, a very hotly contested presidential race. Obviously, if President Trump gets reelected, working with him would not be a challenge for you, I don't think. You guys see eye to eye on many things. How would you work with a Joe Biden administration?
I think it comes down to the same things. What are things that we agree on? And I would love to have Biden come down to Iowa and see what we have in the 4th District and how important the 4th District is to the world. Again, we are the breadbasket to the world. We create all these products and ship them via export around the world. And it's vital that, I don't care who it is as president, understands how important this is. And it comes down to trade. It comes down to opening up the markets globally so people can buy our products, whether it be corn or soybeans, cattle or hogs. So I am hoping that whether it be President Trump or whether it be Biden, that they can see how important Iowa is to the rest of the world.
I imagine on the campaign trail, you run into some people who maybe disagree with you a little bit philosophically. What are some of the things that you've had people raise concerns with as far as you're concerned with either your voting history or your view on things? What are some of the concerns that people have had, and how do you address those?
Right. And I just want to say this, it's great that our Constitution, that we have the freedom of speech and that we have differences, and some of us, we see things through different lenses. And through my faith, I look at that each person is created differently, but we're all created specially also. And we're all here to make a difference in life. And so there are people that might not agree with what I say all the time, but then I'd go back to them and say, what can we agree on? What can we collaborate on? There's certain things that I'll assure you Democrats and Republicans will probably never agree, and probably one of them is being pro-life, right? Principally, that's where I'll stand, and I'll never get off that. It's just, that's who I am. But there's many other things that we can work together with, like agriculture, and say, we agree on this, and let's work together on creating more clean energy, whether that be through ethanol or biodiesel or wind or whatever it might be. We can do that together.
We'll take a couple minutes here as we wrap up and tell the people why you're the man for the job here come November.
Absolutely. So I've been so grateful to be in the Iowa Senate for the last 12 years, and the last 4 being Assistant Majority Leader. And in 2017, I was the author and creator of the largest income tax reduction bill in state history. We passed a lot of deregulation bills and expanded health care opportunities. We also did voter ID bill, making sure that our elections were safe and secure. These are things that I want to do in Congress. I delivered in the Iowa Senate, and I want to listen to you and make sure I deliver results in Congress for the greater good of the 4th District and of Iowa. And I humbly ask for each person's vote in the upcoming election on November 3.
Well, thank you very much.
Great to be with you.
Iowa Senator Randy Feenstra, who, as I mentioned before, is looking for a job title change. So we wish you the best of luck on the campaign trail, and certainly safe travels. We thank you for joining us today. I'm Randy Cauthron. We'll see you next time on SDR In-Depth.